Welcome to the computer-based sequential spelling DVD support video. We appreciate your purchase of this DVD and have created this video to help you have a good experience. This video will help you set up your computer so that you are able to play the video lessons included on your DVD. It will also give you best practices for using the computer-based sequential spelling DVDs. At the time this video was created, over 3,000 copies of the computer-based sequential spelling program have been produced and sold. Less than 1% of users have contacted us for support and have only identified 2 potential problems: damaged or blank DVDs and computer configuration issues. First, the DVD being damaged or blank. If you suspect that your copy is blank, compare it with the ones in this photo. DVD A is blank and DVD B is not blank. If your DVD looks like DVD A, we'll be happy to replace it. Please send us an email and we'll contact you with replacement instructions. If it is obvious that the Postal Service has damaged your DVD, you should contact the vendor where you purchased the DVD and the post office to report the issue and make arrangements. If you purchased your copy from us at Instructional Media Innovations, please send us an email and we'll contact you with replacement instructions. The most common issues are computers that are not properly configured. All of our support issues have been resolved by correctly configuring the user's computer. Do not assume that the DVD is defective because it's not working correctly. First, follow the steps in the next section and the other support videos at our site, and then contact us if these steps do not resolve your issue. Here are the steps that you should take to ensure that your computer is ready to play the sequential spelling lessons. In this video, we are only addressing configuration issues related to Windows PCs, but best practices will apply to Mac computers as well. To use the sequential spelling DVDs, you must have the following items: a computer, PC or Mac. The video files are also compatible with iPod or iPad. Your computer should have the following items: a DVD drive. Look for the DVD logo printed on the outside of the DVD drive to ensure that it will play DVDs. You'll need speakers or headphones, and also the latest version of QuickTime. At the time this was produced, the version was 7.6. You'll need this version or newer, which can be downloaded for free at www.apple.com. We only support the QuickTime player for use with the sequential spelling DVDs, so you'll want to ensure that your video lessons are playing with this player only. Okay, first we're going to take a look at how you figure out what version of QuickTime you're using. If you double-click on your QuickTime player icon, and if your icon doesn't look like this, that's a good indication that it's an older version. But when you double-click on your QuickTime player and open it, in this case I've just opened a QuickTime file, if you go to the top and you go over to Help and click on Help and then About QuickTime Player, you'll notice here that it says I'm using version 7.6.8. As long as you're using a 7.6 or higher, you should be fine. You can always download the latest version from apple.com. Okay, we're going to now go over the way to work with a DVD once you get it and you put it into your DVD drive in your computer. This is with Windows XP. It's very similar in Vista. Everything looks a little different, but it's the same concept as far as changing a few things to make it work properly. When you first get your DVD and you open up your My Computer, you'll notice that you have drives listed in My Computer, and from myself, this right here is my DVD drive. It's D. I don't have the DVD put in the drive right now, just to show you for an example. But I'm going to put the DVD in, and when I put the DVD in, usually what will happen is your icon for your DVD drive will change, so that it'll have an icon that has a sequential spelling and then the volume number on it. I have a volume 1 that I just put in the drive. And you'll notice that it takes a little while for the DVD to read, and in this case and on a lot of computers, it'll automatically pop up and show you the icon here, and it'll also show you the files that are listed in the drive. But you can also get to it by just double-clicking on the actual drive letter. D is my DVD, and you can see the little icon now, and I can double-click on it. And then you want to navigate into the introduction, and you want to watch some files, some introduction files and movies. But let's deal with the main problem that users have. If their computer has had a number of different media players installed, such as real-time, the standard Windows Media Player, which it comes by default in Windows, as you can see here. These players, if they're already installed, they may take ownership of these movie files and make it a little more difficult to get your player to work by default. You'll notice if I open up days 1 through 44, they have a different icon. This icon is for a media player that we don't want to use. If this icon is different than the one I'm going to show you in just a second, you're going to need to change this. The main reason being is if you don't play it in QuickTime, it may get skippy or do different things that you don't want it to do. So what you do is you right click on it with your mouse button, so not the left button that you normally click, but your right click, and it gives you a menu. And you go down to the bottom where it says Properties and click Properties, and then here where it says Change, you're able to change what the video file opens with. And in this case, we're going to change it to open, of course, with QuickTime. I click on QuickTime and hit OK, and hit OK, and you'll notice that all the icons have changed to this blue Q in the middle of a little piece of paper, and that's what we want it to look like. So that's the first piece that we need to make sure is correct before we try anything else, is that it is associated with the QuickTime player, the video files. There is a second way to also do this. If you go under Start and then under your control panel, there is a icon called Folder Options, and if you double click on that Folder Options and click on File Types, this is the same thing. And if your system doesn't want to change from the way I just showed you, you can always go in here under these file types, and these files are called M4V. So you're going to go down to where it says M4V, and you can click on Change, and you can select a player. In this type place, we're going to want to make sure it plays with QuickTime, and that this button here, always use the selected program file, is checked like that, and hit OK. And that's going to do the exact same thing, and that just associates all of the video files with the QuickTime player, so that when you double click on the file, it automatically opens in QuickTime. That'll make things a lot more simple. Now you'll notice that I just clicked on a file, and this is playing out of my DVD player, and I can of course play it. My computer's pretty well set up and able to play most things. And I can drag this little bar across, and I can look at the different words and navigate. But it has a little bit of lag, especially if I want to kind of go quickly. If I hit play, you might get some. What we've noticed are a lot of people, their computers sometimes aren't always doing quite as well as others, so their DVD drive is a little slow and it can't quite read, and this is affected by the amount of memory and other things in your computer. So you definitely want to do the following step, and that is before you play any of the files, you can always take a copy by clicking on the folder of the days that you want to have your students studying, and drag them out to your desktop. And in this case, I drug it with the right mouse button. As you can see, I get that little plus symbol, and when I let it go, it says, do I want to copy it or move it? And I can say copy it. You could just as easily just do it with the left button, and when you drag it and release it, it's going to copy those over here to the desktop. You can copy these to an external hard drive, onto a thumb drive, or you can just drag them right out to the desktop. This is the method that we recommend. This will resolve most of the support issues that we have. People's computer, like I said, the DVD drive is really slow at reading the files, so it takes it a while to cache those up, and sometimes the performance is lagging and lacks something. So when a student's playing, they might get skipping, or they might get a jittery type of talk. This will almost always eliminate the problem, and that is copy the files to your hard drive on your computer somewhere, so that when the student sits down to the computer, all they need to do is just double click on the folder for the days that they're working on, and then they can just double click on the file that they want to play. That way they can just open it directly on the computer and just hit play. You'll notice that it'll play very quick now and move very smoothly. So that's a very important piece to having everything function the way that you want it to work and not to have difficulty, is to copy the actual folders over to your computer. And as you can see, it took me a few seconds to get this whole folder copied over. You can copy the individual folders that they're working on, or copy the whole thing over to the computer to use whenever they're ready. Okay, we're going to now take a look at Vista, which is very similar to Windows 7 and XP in the way that you go about this. You do it the same way, but for those of you who have Vista, I wanted to just give you a little example of how this works. I've already copied the files to the desktop that I'm wanting to play, and they're not associated with QuickTime the way that they need to be. So I'm going to go to the file just like before and right-click with the right mouse button and hit Properties, and then change the file and click on QuickTime and hit OK. You'll see that they've changed now to the little blue icon for QuickTime. So when I double click on them, they'll play in the QuickTime player, and that's important. But that's just right under the properties. If you click on the Start menu, you can also do it by clicking on Control Panel like we did before and click on Default Programs. Now if it doesn't look the same, you may have to change it to Classic View just like we see here, and then select the Default Programs. And Default Programs, when you click on this change, it's going to search and see what everything's associated with, and then you can click on find the M4V, the same file that we had to change earlier, M4V, and then we'll click on to change program, and then we'll select QuickTime again and hit OK, and that will set it so that the default media player for the M4V movie files, which are the ones that you'll be watching, are set to QuickTime, just as they should be. Let me make a few notes about Mac, iPod, and iPad. If you are going to play this DVD on a Mac computer, you can still copy the contents to the computer and play them directly from there. One of the reasons we don't go into depth on the Mac system is because these files are actually native to the Mac computer. Therefore, they're in a native format, so they should play automatically, and there shouldn't be any issue with associating a file type. If you're going to use an iPod or iPad, because of this format, you're able to sync the video files with your iPod or iPad just the way you would any video file. So they're already in the right format. Now, here are a few reminders that we want to reiterate. This is a computer-based DVD and will not work on a TV-based DVD player. Remember that the space bar on the keyboard is both the pause and the play button, which makes it easy access to stop and start the lessons. Also, make sure you're using an updated version of QuickTime and that your lesson files are associated with the QuickTime player. For best performance and to eliminate the skipping and other issues while playing the lesson files, copy the contents of the DVD to your computer. This will also let you store the original DVD away and keep it safe and away from scratches. We want to thank you for watching this computer-based sequential spelling support video. We hope that it will help you to get started using this great program and get the most out of your DVD.